It's time for a new Ducky keyboard. What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about a new Ducky keyboard, as I already stated at the beginning of the video, but we're going to talk about 6108, and this is a full-size keyboard, which kind of has more, let's say, a compact design, because we don't have the space between the lettering, we don't have the space between the numerical pad, and this kind of compacts the keyboard a bit. But what's it all about? Because we have some new cool Cherry MX switches, and I'm gonna get to that part as well. We have loads of stuff inside the box. There's only one thing missing, and that's the manual, but you can search it on the web and find it quite straightforward. Now, the one thing that I'm quite satisfied about the keyboard is that it has weight to it, and this means only one thing, that they really packed the keyboard inside, not because it's full-size keyboard so it's a bit heavier, but because it has loads of stuff inside. And we're talking about dampening foam, when we're talking about no echo while typing and all the other stuff, but we'll get to that part as well. Now let's check out the box content. Of course, you get a keyboard, you get this type of cover, which is kind of cool, because if you're not using the keyboard, you can place it on the keyboard and protect it from dust, which is quite handy, I do have to admit. Now, next in line, we get USB Type A to USB Type C if you want to use it in a wired mode. But if you don't want to use it in a wired mode, what you could do is connect it via Bluetooth, since it's currently connected via Bluetooth. Then you have another way of connecting it, and it's with 2.4 GHz USB dongle, which comes in kind of cool USB storage, I do have to admit. This is some sort of a, it isn't an actual keycap, it is an actual keycap actually, to be honest. So it has an MX theme at the bottom, and this is where you place the 2.4 G dongle. Well, basically, if you want to store it on your keyboard instead of an escape, if you're using it in a Bluetooth mode. Then we have the Dragon keycap, which is for spacebar, which illuminates quite nicely, and it looks quite solid. And I really do prefer when Ducky does this type of things to add additional stuff to the keyboard. Finally, we have a keycap and switch remover, so this means that the keyboard is hot-swappable when we're talking about 3 and 5 pin switches. Now, quickly through some features, I'm going to name them and then we're going to go into details. We have 3-mode connectivity, Cherry MX2A switch, we have here brown ones, hot-swappable technology when we're talking about the switches, OEM PBT double shot keycaps, optimized comfortability, RGB backlight, and loads of other cool stuff. So 3-mode connectivity, we're talking about possibility to connect it the way you want. So you can connect it via USB Type C, as already stated, 2.4G technology wireless with USB dongle, and Bluetooth connectivity. And at the back you also have an on-off switch, which gives you an option to basically turn on the wireless mode. Is it 2.4G or Bluetooth? It's really straightforward like that. Since I mentioned the connectivity and stuff like that, when we take the keyboard and check it out from the back side, you have USB Type-C connection, a bit dent inside the keyboard. So what you can do is you have 3-way canal, which gives you an option to reroute the Type-C cable left, right, or straight at the top, which is quite straightforward and really cool to do some cable management as well. And right next to the Type-C connection, we have an on-off switch for wireless connectivity. Now, Cherry MX2A switches. These are something new that I haven't had so far, and we're talking about brown switches in this scenario. The typing on the keyboard with these switches is really satisfying, because the MX2A brown switches are really outstanding. They have a bump which is mild but noticeable, and they're quite quiet. And the cool thing about everything about the MX2A is that these switches use a barrel shape geometry spring, which is a narrower, and its top and bottom ensures each spring maintains its form in almost contactless linear movement. They all come pre-looped, which is outstanding. I actually took apart one just to see if it's really pre-looped, and it really is. And when we're talking about some specs about the switch, what I can say is that brown switch is tactile, 55 grams operating force, 2 millimeters pre-travel, travel distance complete is 4 millimeters, sound level is kind of medium, pre-lubed and midway for gaming and office. This is outstanding. The PCB is designed that it's equipped with hot-swappable technology, 3-pin and 5-pin, which allows you guys to effortlessly swap your switches whatever you want without even soldering it. The PBT double shot keycaps are really nice touch, and honestly I don't expect anything less from Ducky when we're talking about their keyboards. So this comes to a premium feel of the keyboard, premium keycaps. It's resistant to wear and tear without a doubt, and honestly, if you're into a keyboard in terms of high quality, always go with double shot PBT keycaps, and then secondly Ducky, because they really do all of this quite nicely. At the back you have a possibility to raise the legs and adjust the angle of the keyboard. So it's already angled by a couple of degrees, but you have a smaller leg to adjust it a bit higher, and then another one which adjusts it really high. All feet for adjusting the height and angle have rubber base, but even if without them, you have 4 rubber bases below so that the keyboard stays steady on your surface while gaming or doing basically anything else. Now, RGB backlight, here's another cool thing. So it has radiant effect. You can personalize it with some shortcuts when we're talking about the FN keys, and you can change the brightness, speed and color to basically make the keyboard shine into colors to pair up with your setup. Now, I did mention it's wireless, right? So you can connect it with the USB dongle, or you could connect it via Bluetooth. But what about the battery? The battery is 2500 milliampere hours, which is more than enough to use it for loads of time. Unfortunately, it doesn't state for how long does the keyboard stay charged up, but the escape button turns red when the battery is at the end, right? So you just plug in your wired connection and you start charging it up. It has PU bottom foam for enhanced acoustics. What I already said, there is no echo while typing, which is really outstanding, and the sound bottoming out the keys is also really good. The backlight looks great. It's very even across the whole keys and the keyboard, and the white bottom part, the white PCB part, is actually what reflects the RGB lights a bit more. When we're talking about the design, bottom white part with the top black part, the bottom and top parts are plastic, and you have a nice Ducky logo here at the back with the name of the keyboard 06108. The RGB backlight, as already stated, it's really nice, really clean, and in terms of shining back, it really does look effective. You can't see it here in this scenario because I have 2 soft boxes bouncing off of it, so yeah, there's that. But the weight, I mean, 1.2 kilos of this keyboard is insane. The cable isn't braided, it's rubber, but I mean, honestly, if you have a wireless or Bluetooth connection, you won't bother with that unless you need to charge it. And then again, it's more flexible if you desire to go with a wired connection to push it through the cables. So let's hear out how the switches sound. Compared to some other keyboards that are reviewed, I mean, we can't expect something that is so nicely pre-lubed, so nicely designed, and especially with the PU foam in between the plates and everything all together to stop the additional and unnecessary acoustics. to create something remarkable as this. I mean, I reviewed a couple of Ducky keyboards earlier, which if you haven't seen, I'll leave them at the end of this one so you can check them out. Really enjoy typing. It's really something quite fluid, and I'm really loving the MX2A brown switches from Cherry, which do really that slight tactile bump. That's really nice, I do have to admit. Shame it doesn't have lower actuation force, which would be quite outstanding, and of course with the travel distance would be also nice, but then again we're talking about something else. You can just simply change the switches to some speed ones, and that's that, because you have the option to choose through a couple of switches. Really digging when you actually open the keyboard and you check out the switches and you check out the stabilizers, that they don't have any, well, the stabilizers don't have any additional movements inside the housing, so that's really good. And to have them pre-lubed, as I already said, this is some sort of a, let's say, a custom keyboard pre-built. If you're going with your regular keyboards from any gaming brand, you'll most likely just be already used to that. But if you want to start something in terms of going into custom, but you don't want to go into custom because eventually it does end up being really expensive at some point, this is first step to go into that direction, because everything is done properly inside their keyboards. When we're talking about foam for acoustics, for dampening and stuff like that, for switch possibility, hot swappable switches, 3 and 4 pin. Then we're talking about double shot PBT, keycaps, and we're talking about pre-lubed switches and stabilizers, and the keyboard in general is quite alright. The only thing that I would actually, it's quite alright, I would just add some additional functionality on it. So for instance, that you already know when you're using an FN button, which are the additional buttons for connectivity and which are the buttons for RGB light to adjust that. That's the only thing that I would add to this keyboard, because it doesn't say anywhere. You just have to have a manual, and you don't have a paper manual here inside the box. So there's that. That's the only thing that I would say. All in all, quite outstanding keyboard. For you full-size or 100% keyboard lovers, this could be quite nice, because even the price is outstanding. We're talking about 110 euros, which is a solid price for everything that I mentioned. So yeah, Best Buy badge for the DUCKY ZERO 6108. I'll leave the link in the description for you guys to check out more details, price, if something changed in the meantime. And that'll be all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, because Ducky always brings a keyboard that delivers in performance but also delivers in quality, and that's all I can say, specifically because I heard you guys were complaining about some keyboards from Ducky that were too expensive. I don't think this one is expensive. It is a lot of money in those terms, don't get me wrong. It is $110 euros. But when you take into consideration and compare other brands and other prices and everything all together, this is definitely a Best Buy, because pre-lubed, PBT, all the other stuff that I mentioned, I won't repeat myself. For 110, that's outstanding. Link is in the description. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to click the like button and notification bell. See you very soon, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.